hearing this, and you can kind of get the vibe throughout the whole entire interview, like they really don't give any fucks of what Cenk has to say, even though I think Cenk is really trying to come from a good place with this idea. They don't care. So if somebody is playing 4D chess when it comes to politics and understanding the Democratic Party for all the fractions that are in it, you have your liberals, your centrists, your progressive, and then I guess you got a more leftist than the left, like, and then a person understands, your mom and dad Republicans. Then you have your moderates, and then you have your MAGAs, and then you have your extremes, I guess. If someone understands all of that and they have some sort of secret sauce, to where they can bring people from not the crazies on each side, but then the people that just wants to live in peace and live wealthy and have opportunities. If that person can understand and bring both sides together, cool. I'm not gonna stand in the way. Trust me, I'm not gonna call that person crazy unless they are really crazy. In my opinion, in this political atmosphere, the weather isn't looking sunny at any point. It's raining, it's storms, and that's the forecast for the next 4 years, at least in my opinion. Okay, but when it comes to individuals like Cenk from TYT, I'm not in the spirits to say that he's a full-on grifter. Like, I still, once again, they don't have to agree with me 100% on every single thing for me to consider them an ally. I'm not that stupid. You know what I'm saying? But it is a little weird when individuals start to like butter up or try to humanize, like, or not even humanize, but just like they try to like normalize the crazy asses in the Republican Party. They try to make it like, no, it's okay. They're just misunderstood, or like you really just don't get them. Like, no, there's some racist pieces of shit on that side. I will never come to grips of like, but they're my ally. Like, no, that's not gonna work. But when it comes to Cenk, he's going on this thing about being a populist. And in this video that we're gonna watch with Valuetainment, you know them. He's kind of focusing on being a populist, and that's going to bring the regular hardworking Americans that we all know and love together, despite them being Republican or Democrat, to fight the elite, the establishment. And it's, I guess, kind of interesting. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna just disregard anyone's point of view or their ideas, but just to make sure we all know what a populist is, because it feels like people are throwing around that term and not really understanding what that is. So let me go ahead and break this down for you. A populist is someone who advocates for the interests or concerns of ordinary people. Sounds good. Often positioning themselves against a perceived elite or establishment. The term can be described a political ideology, movement, or leader, and it can span the political spectrum from left to right depending on the context. Once again, a good example of a left-wing populism is focuses on economic inequalities and advocating for the redistribution of wealth. Examples include people like Bernie Sanders. Then we have a right-wing populism, often emphasizes nationalism, anti-immigration policies, and traditional cultural values, of course, of Donald Trump. So, with that in mind, just be honest with yourself. Don't be that guy Cenk is this. No, be an adult. Be able to critical think ideas and different points of views and see if it's something there, or see if there's something in that you can incorporate within your own opinion, and that's only going to bolster up your arguments, your point of view. So don't be a child and just disregard people just because they don't believe every single thing that you believe. Let's hear them out and let's make a decision based off that.
Cenk, are you now a Republican?
Holy shit.
Okay, so a lot of people on the left
That's a hell of a question, but we already know the answer.
have that theory. The definitive answer is no. So, look, I've been a populist all along, and what's fascinating to me is how much politics in America has changed. Because the left-wing populists, like the Bernie Sanders type of guys, have been standing a post waiting for our right flank to appear at some point. Because giant things like getting money out of politics, you cannot do alone. The left wing can't do it alone. The right wing can't do it alone. The only way to fix it is an amendment, because you got to go above the Supreme Court. You need 3/4 of the states. So for me, I've always thought, if we don't get united, we're never going to beat the establishment. And the establishment has been my enemy forever and ever and ever. And I wish we had beaten them, through Bernie in 2016 or 2020. And I'm not saying that they're knocked out. I mean, the establishment is gigantic. They've got billions and trillions of dollars, and they're going to make a huge comeback in the 2028 primaries. But on the Republican side, they've largely been defeated. And so here's what my left-wing friends don't understand.
So before he continues, one thing he does have right, which, we can look at his historical context, the civil rights movement wasn't just done by black folks. It wasn't just Martin Luther King. It was actually a large, wide variety, even people who didn't like him, like a Malcolm X. Like, in some way, shape, or form, that helped the movement, just with Malcolm X's, pro-black and just being, independent in that sense. And then when it comes to politicians, there were actually a nice, decent handful of Republicans that contributed to the civil rights movement being what it is, and how much they accomplished. Once again, it just can't be a singular person or a singular movement. And that's why I've been trying to, at least, even with myself, don't disregard everyone that might have different, degrees of an opinion of yours. Now, someone like Candace Owens, of course, we can disregard her wholeheartedly. She's not a part of the movement. She doesn't care. As long as she gets her money, that's all that matters to her. But when it's individuals, voters, Congress people, hear them out and then make a judgment. So he is right about that.
They think you guys are all MAGA, and MAGA means it's a cult, and you're never going to disagree with Trump. You're never going to disagree with each other. And that you are like their father's Republicans, but you're not their father's Republicans. And so our side, I've been trying to get them to realize that Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, all these folks that take the money, they're not on your side. They're on the establishment side, right? And for you guys on the right, when I used to debate you, and I don't mean you guys in specific, I mean in general, all I would get is wall-to-wall talking points. Oh, Mitch McConnell knows what he's doing. Oh, John Cornyn is the best. Oh, George Bush, Dick Cheney, etc. And we've been around forever. We're the longest-running show in internet history, right? We're the first YouTube partner channel ever. That makes me like,
all right, got you. Hey, congratulations. But to kind of push back a little bit, MAGA is, in my opinion, tell me if I'm wrong in the comments, is a smaller portion of the Republican Party. If I had to throw a percentage on it, I would say at least 35 to 40% of the Republicans who voted for Donald Trump are MAGA. And to me, those are individuals that void all reality, that void all facts, that void all constructive conversations, and just want to see their side win in just anything. Like, it doesn't even matter if it's against their own interests. They just want to see the Republicans win. And that includes, a bunch of racist people. That includes bigots, homophobic people, anyone, everyone of that ilk, your pedophiles. They're all 9 times out of 10 voting Republican. And even just by their leadership, you can tell by their leadership what type of people follow them. You know what I'm saying? Like, You should understand that. I shouldn't have to explain to you how people attract people of their own kind. Like, okay, got you. But once again, no one is really saying every single Republican is MAGA. Now, people who are not MAGA and they're Republican, once again, they might see some policies that they're going to naturally vote for. That's why they voted for Trump. And those are the people that are going to say, I don't like Trump or what he's saying, but I do this X, Y, and Z. Like, even though it doesn't make sense, they may not like Trump, but they still want the policies. And I think that's the people Cenk is talking about, not the loyalist voters who's going to vote for Trump even when he's out of office in the next 4 years. We're talking about the people that still want to claim being a Republican based off policy, if that's really a thing. Like
the original YouTuber, right?
Oh, wow.
And so I battled the Cheneys. I battled all those guys in the Bush years, right? And then I hit Obama from the left, and people got super mad. I mean, that's part of the reason why I had the huge blowout with MSNBC, and I left MSNBC because they didn't want me to hit Obama, and they didn't want me to hit the Democrats. So I've been doing that from day one. And guys, today, I think that, we could do something historic. I think that we could actually unite the left flank and the right flank. And I've got a model for how to do that, and I want to run it by you guys. I've got a couple of rules for the internet that I want to run by you guys. Rules.
So once again, this is a 21-minute video. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because they're really going to just talk about some of the conversations we already had about, well, what about this? Well, like, it's really nothing new to learn there. But I want to get to his 3 rules that he feels that will unite individuals from the left and the right. So let's go ahead and take a listen.
Important that both the right wing and left wing agree with this, right? So let me bounce it off you guys. Number 1 rule: when we disagree, we fight, and there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong. It's America. Okay, we disagree. We got freedom of speech. Let's rumble. Let's brawl. There's nothing wrong with that.
What do you mean rumble and brawl?
I mean, of course, rhetorically, politically,
Debating.
not violent.
I'll throw down right now, Jim.
Take it easy.
Because as simple as that sounds, that was not popular with the left the last 8 years. We've invited.
Okay, shut the hell. Okay, see, in this, hearing this, and you can kind of get the vibe throughout the whole entire interview, like, they really don't give any fucks of what Cenk has to say, even though I think Cenk is really trying to come from a good place with this idea. They don't care, because if you hear the questions or some of their responses like this here, oh, well, still to the left, but they never want to do any self-critiquing of their own party. And that's where the issue is. They're saying, I can never do any wrong, but yeah, the left, wokeness and blah, blah, blah. Like, bro, what? Hey, that's not how civilized conversations work. But okay, back to Cenk's point. That would work in a room full of adults, of people who understand policies, who kind of understand the ins and outs of how government works and how that benefits the majority of people. Then yeah, have the smartest people go into a room, record it live. I don't know. But then that would be good. But once again, you have a lot of people on both sides who just, for show, they don't care about the policies. They don't care about, their constituents. They don't care about nothing. They just want to be in the room saying some things like Marjorie Taylor Greene. I guarantee you, I know more about policies than she does. And she's... do you see what I'm saying? Like, I never really heard her speak in depth about policies she's putting forward that's not just like against trans people or against immigrants, like something that would have people like me, like, even I don't like her, but that's a pretty decent policy if done right. No, you don't hear nothing good from her. And those are the kind of people that can't be in a room. You see what I'm saying? Like Fetterman, or not? Yeah, Fetterman, who pretended to be progressive, and then all of a sudden he's not. Like, those kind of people We need individuals who stand on their principles and actually believe in what they believe in and won't switch it up because they got a check all of a sudden. Those are the kind of individuals that are not going to better these, these fights that he wants to have that will be productive. Because trust me, people are already fighting, but nothing gets resolved. So once again, like, that's good on paper, but that's about it.
Invited so many people from the left, and we will always invite them, but unfortunately they don't like to fight as much as the other side likes to fight. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Or maybe they just don't like your platform. Maybe that could be it. It's not that. Please calm down. You're not that impressive. Trust me.
Rule number 2 of the internet. Afterwards, you must have a beer together. Okay.
Tip O'Neill and Reagan.
Yeah. And so what I mean by that is you don't have to love the other guy. You don't have to agree with him. But we got to go back to being Americans, right? So, okay, we have a fight. Then let's go get a beer. So what? Okay, I don't agree with you on healthcare. I don't agree with you on trans issues. And I know some people say, hey, look, is there a line that goes too far? Yeah, for some people, there's a line that goes too far. But in general, let's go back to listening to one another. We've been yelling at each other. And by the way, I mean, I'm guilty of it too. I mean, I think as far as yelling on the internet goes, to your point, yeah, I've done that many, many times. But I try to have a beer afterwards so that we.
Okay, so once again, having the whole beer thing was. Hey, I don't even drink beer. I don't even drink liquor. I don't smoke weed. So not even cigarettes. So like, just side note, like that doesn't work for me. I got to get me a diet soda or something. But to his bigger, point, once again, this is living in a world where people are not going to take cultural conversations or cultural hot topics and make that their point of attack. Like when you're trying to demonize all immigrants and lie about the facts, and like we can't even agree that inflation is lower than it was during the pandemic, during 2020 to now. Republicans can't even say that. So once again, Cenk, like you already passed steps 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and now you're living in a different reality at that point. Like I say, Republicans can't even understand or admit simple things. Did Trump win the 2020 election? You still got sitting Congress people who hold power still can't say that for whatever reason. Trump won in 2024. So like, why are we still holding on that he didn't lose in 2020? You have to do that before you can get to any beers or margaritas or anything. Pizza parties, it doesn't matter. You can't build on foundation that is weak, that is soft, that's not based in facts, in historic evidence. You can't do that, Cenk. And unfortunately, there's some Looney Tunes on the left side, but unfortunately, that's the majority of the Republican Party. So what do you do with that?
We can still be a country together, okay? And last one is number 3 is when we agree, let's do something really bold and unite, okay? And if we unite, we will be invincible. Because look, as I said in that tweet, my mortal enemy is the establishment, the one that says, no, the politicians are honest. No, the donor money doesn't affect anyone. This absurdity of CNN and New York Times pretending that the donor money doesn't affect the candidates and it doesn't affect the bills. When they start talking about legislation and we're talking about, hey, can we negotiate drug prices? And you're not talking about big pharma spending billions, if not trillions of dollars in lobbying and donating to the politicians, et cetera. No, it's utter corruption. And we cannot beat that corruption unless we unite. So if the right wing, if I'm right about the right wing populists, and I made a bet with one of my co-hosts last night, okay, well, I can tell you about that too. But if I'm right about the right wing populists and we unite on some things that we agree on, I think we're going to be invincible and finally beat the establishment.
All right. Sounds good. That actually sounds like something that's beyond just on paper-ish. Like, kinda. You know what I'm saying? Like, once again, I'm pretty sure if you take, a room full of Republican voters, no billionaires, no millionaires, just regular hardworking folks, and then you take, Democratic voters, hardworking people, put them in two separate rooms and say, hey, do you think minimum wage should be increased? I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, both parties are going to say yes. Do you think healthcare should be damn near free or extremely affordable? Both sides are going to say yes. When you talk about education, do you think higher education should be damn near free or free on some levels? I guarantee you both sides are going to agree. But that's as far as it's going to get, because unfortunately, the way that, the electoral college is set up, the way that money is trillions of dollars, like this is not a few bucks being passed around when it comes to politicians being bought off. Like, these are millions of dollars. Look at Cori Bush. I think it's Cori Bush who lost in her primary. Why? Because AIPAC dumped millions of dollars to an opposing candidate who won. Like how, just because you and I agree on something doesn't mean our friendship is gonna overpower money. No, that's not how that works. So you almost gotta fix the main issue before we can start to hold hands and unite, Captain Planet or something. Like that's, once again, it sounds good. And maybe if we can come together as Democratic and Republican voters, maybe we can force the Republican Party or the Democratic Party to act on some of these things. But once again, can we get Republican voters to understand that it's not the immigrants' fault, it's not black people's fault, it's not trans people's fault, it's the establishment on both parties. Once again, I haven't really heard them talking about the establishment on the Republican side, because trust me, they getting paid too. The NRA, Big Pharma, oil, they getting their money. AIPAC. So trust me, the establishment is on both sides, and it's deep rooted within both parties. So can we get Republican voters to understand their enemy is the people that they're voting for at the end of the day? Just like myself, I'm not a Democratic, woo-hoo supporter, because I know how corrupt they are too. But unfortunately, we only got the two parties. So trust me, I'm going to choose my poison. I ain't going to just let you guys do it for me. I'm going to choose my own poison. So once again, it's a lot that needs to be done before we even, start to hold hands and, conquer the world like we the Avengers or something. Trust me, I'm Black Panther. Y'all can choose somebody else, but I'm the cool one. So let's continue.
So I like that. Number one, if we disagree, let's fight. Let's debate. 2, afterwards, let's have a glass of, let's have beer together. 3, if we do agree, let's unite and let's celebrate it and let's come across as a united crowd, united group. I like that. Going back to the conversation with Trump. So Trump.
Now, do you see how he just, I don't want to say he disregarded, but he didn't engage with that. Why? And this is where I would kind of have to say this is why something as good as an idea on paper, okay, trust me, I'm not going to knock down those ideas, because in theory, on paper, it sounds good, okay? But when you have people such as Valuetainment, with the suits that's one size too small because they want to try to look big, they're getting paid off the division. They don't really, and I'm saying this lightly, but I don't think they really care about uniting to make people's lives in general better. I'm not getting that vibe from them, because I've been watching them long enough, maybe the past year. I don't get those vibes from them particularly of, I will, dish the Republican Party and give the middle finger to the Democratic Party for the sake of uniting with the American people. No, because their viewership, they base their platform, as they say in the same interview, which I highly suggest you guys go watch. But he's going to talk about he built his platform for this reason. You know, they had to go back and say, how come we're not getting views and this and this? So like they know how to engage with their viewers on saying certain things or talking about certain topics. They know that. So just imagine if they turn their back on that. They're not going to get paid. So once again, Cenk is a pretty good idea, but unfortunately, we got a long way to go. Hey, thank you guys for watching. Once again, I highly appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to watch my content. If you guys want to support me even more, go ahead, become a member. Check out the perks that I set aside for you, such as early access, one-on-one conversations with myself, and even cool emojis you can use in the comment section. Once again, I highly appreciate the future members and you guys even taking the time to watch the content. And like always, let's have that conversation.